I don't have to think too much about this, otherwise I was about not to do this live because I'm really tired and was getting discouraged. I have to check the audio as well. 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 Oh, we are in a loop now. I have to check the audio as well. Oh, we are in a loop now. I have to check the audio as well. Oh, we are... Okay, not bad. So today was day 5 of my meditative protest, and I had an interaction with one person that was kind of asking me what I was doing, and I think that interaction is representative of the duality I'm living right now, and basically the whole situation with activism. So I want to show you that interaction. I haven't posted today's meditation. How did you? Okay, like this. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. I was about to say, as always, I was here, but it has always been. It's only been 5 days, even though I don't know. To me, it seemed like my whole life I've been doing this for some reason. Maybe because it's so intense. And so yeah, today I was there, and at some point,
Domanda poi ho visto. Curiosità,
ciao.
perché ti ho visto anche l'altro giorno che eri seduto qua. Cos'è che...
Hai già letto? Yeah, so this guy tells me, I saw you the other day, you're still here today, and I was curious, I wanted to ask you, and I respond to him, have you already read what's written here? And he says, no.
No, che ti spieghi? No, adesso, cioè, ti ho
Okay.
fatto prima la domanda, poi ho
He says he only has seen it now.
visto che c'era.
Ok, un po' per tutte queste crisi qua, quindi minaccia nucleare, il fatto che
Ah, tipo globalista, sì. Qualcosa così.
globalist.
Sì, che...
And I tell him I'm there because of the reasons written on the cardboard, and written on the cardboard is nuclear threat, climate change. Um, I also wrote like wars for economic interests, human trafficking, basically all criminal activities um, that taking place now at the light of the day in the world. And and here is my first consideration, because he calls me a globalist, and I do like something like that, because it's crazy to me that you have to consider yourself within a group, which in this case would be a globalism, in order to care about the world. Because, of course, our planet is our home, and I don't think you should be within a group to care about the world. So yeah, he calls me a globalist, and uh, I'm like, I mean, I would have said many more things, but he kind of kept interrupting me, which is not a problem. Um, but yeah, that's the first thing I want to say, because it's crazy to me that you're almost uh you're almost not supposed to think about the world, um and you have to be an activist to do that, and that's crazy to me, because I mean, ain't that crazy to you?
Greenpeace e tutte le
Ma è
cose.
live.
Nel senso, non credi valga la pena di non estinguerci? And he names other groups like green, what was that?
Nucleare, il fatto che
Ah, tipo globalista, sì. Qualcosa.
globalist.
Sì, che Greenpeace e tutto.
Yeah, Greenpeace, which I actually don't know as a group, but I guess it's a group that that advocates for climate change and peace because it's called Greenpeace.
Delle cose.
Nel senso, non credi valga la pena di non estinguerci?
Sì, sì, ha ragione.
And I tell him, don't you think, um, how do you say that? Don't you think it's worth uh, not to not to go extinct? Because in the end, that is the scenario we are facing. It's either going to be extinction because of climate change, because of nuclear war, because of AI in some way. It's either going to be that, or it's going to be that these crises are going to get so big that we have to rely again on governments and people that have really huge amounts of money to fix it. So in the end, that's why I'm doing this, because first, I don't want the world uh, to go to waste, and I don't want a scenario in the few years where it's the rich that control resources, that control water, and I don't want to be the rich, the ones we refer to fix climate change, because in the end, I think this is why no one is doing anything about it, because first you don't want to slow down, you still want to keep this consumistic ideology within society, and as always you want to create a problem to which you have a solution to. So by not fixing climate change, you're just waiting a time where people will be so desperate when they will finally realize what climate change means, that they will ask for solutions, and those solutions will be expensive, and only rich people and I guess governments can get to that kind of solution. While the easy solution would be just stopping right now and start like reverting the process we started.
Pensi che risolvi così qualcosa? Solo fa attirare attenzione?
And here he tells me, do you think this is how you're going to fix it? Just by like catching attention and being here? And my guy, yeah, I mean, and here I, here I go, here I go.
Non c'è altro modo, nel senso
Lo fai da
che
solo o...
And I tell him there's no other way, and because what can I do apart from this? If I did anything different, I would scare people. If I had like a microphone, and I would be telling people all the, I don't know, like all the tremendous data that there is, I think fewer people would listen to me, and that's not the kind of protest I'm going for. I want people to genuinely take interest and curiosity and action, and the first action is coming and reading my piece of cardboard. So this is the only way I can do this. I guess online is different because unless a video pops up in your homepage, you kind of look for the video. Um, but I absolutely don't want to go around and try get people's attention. I mean, this is a way of getting people's attention, but I'm doing it passively. I'm not actively trying to get people's attention again. And what did he say?
Attirare attenzione?
non c'è altro modo, nel senso
Lo fai da
che
solo o sei tu?
Yeah, here he interrupts me. I mean, I'm not angry, but the whole interaction in the end kind of left me, yeah, a bit discouraged because You'll see.
Gruppetto.
Per ora da solo.
And he asks me, "Are you alone or are you doing this with a group?" And I tell him I'm alone for now, and I hope, of course, that there'll be more people with me doing this.
Spero che ci
Bravo,
sarà altra
l'ambizione è
gente.
bella, però il risultato non è che...
And he says the initiative is good, but the result, and he doesn't end the sentence. And of course, he wanted to say that the result is kind of deluding, is not, the result is not there. And I mean, first, I've been doing this for 5 days. Of course, I can't see results right now, and he was kind of judging the situation because, I mean, what can he know? Does he read the future? I mean, maybe I am too a bit judgmental towards him right now, and I'm trying my best not to be, but it's hard to get confronted in this way, especially on something so important and fragile to me. So yeah, well, I do think it's wrong to judge this kind of situation because objectively you can't not know what the result is. And in a sense, I understand what he says because I've seen these kind of protests in the past. I've seen, for example, Extinction Rebellion about climate change in London, and I mean, it was much bigger than this. Um, and even that, I guess, didn't give out results, even though it did because it was a huge movement. I mean, it still is a huge movement. Actually, I'm not updated about it, so I should look it up. I guess it's still happening. Um, and I guess in like at the eyes of most of society, doing activism is not going to change anything. And so I guess this is the kind of thought he was having.
Però non posso neanche andare dalle persone cioè nel senso, preferisco sedermi qua e far sì che le persone
Ma non hai
vengano.
freddo?
Sì.
Yeah, and here I say, I repeat that I don't want to go after people. I want people to come to me. And he interrupts me and asks me if I'm cold, and I
Un pochino
say,
sì. Vabbè.
yeah, of course I am, but it's okay because and we'll go forward.
Se rimani seduto così può essere che la gente si estingue lo stesso.
And here, I guess this what triggers me the most because he says, well, not with the perfect grammar, but he says that if people do this, then we'll go extinct because you get cold, you get sick, and then you die, I guess. And that was a non-direct way of telling me that this was kind of stupid, that be sitting in the cold is stupid and goes against survival. And that triggered me because it is a bit, I guess at his eyes, I was kind of stupid for doing this. And I'm really sorry, of course. No, I'm not sorry. Um, it's painful that he didn't manage to look through the action itself. And the action itself, I think, in my eyes, but I am me and I can be, of course, objective. I mean, this is my experience, so I can't be objective by default within my human experience. Um, but if I had ever seen someone do this, I first would have read the cardboard and I would have appreciated this. But again, this is me, so it doesn't make sense to say it. So yeah, it's a bit painful that he didn't first read the cardboard and that he thought that this was kind of stupid. Um,
Povere malattie dopo...
Vabbè, mi sono coperto.
Vabbè, lo stesso siamo a gennaio.
Certo, però preferisco
yeah, and I tell him that I got a blanket and I'm not cold, but he still insists that it is January.
che le
Buona
persone
volontà, complimenti, però...
preferisco che le persone vengano
And here he compliments me. He says, I mean, you're doing a good thing, but, and he doesn't have the sentence.
qua a leggere piuttosto che andare a fermarle io. Se
Sai che non
capisci
c'è
cosa
ancora
intendo.
la bomba pacifica.
And I say again that I don't want to stop people, I want people to come at me. And here he says something weird. He says that
Se ci esisteva allora risolvevi i problemi.
he says that there's no bomb for peace, like in contrary to a nuclear bomb, which is a bomb for death.
Perché non esistono armi che fanno la pace,
And I
esistono solo
say,
armi che fanno la guerra.
of course, there's no a peace bomb. And this is kind of, I guess, obvious to say because peace doesn't work like war. Peace is much more complicated because you have to listen to everyone's needs and you have to compromise, which is not what you do in war. In war, it's just I want to prevail on you, and so I kill you. And so, of course, there's not a peace bomb. And this is why I'm doing this, because if there was a shorter way, I surely would take it.
Cosa vuoi fare con la persona che vuole che tu ti trovi in quella condizione lì?
Vorrei semplicemente che ragionasse su questi
Ha
concetti
il
qui.
suo ragionamento e a lei gli va bene che va così come
Mhm.
contro cosa tu combatti.
Ci sto provando.
And listening to this again, I didn't really understand. I guess I didn't understand what he was saying. But I guess he was asking me, what would you like to trigger within people? And of course, I responded that I wanted to trigger this line of thinking um, of questioning the status quo, and I mean, in front of huge evidence that proves that we are destroying ourselves and the planet, and that this society doesn't benefit. I mean, it's not about well-being, it's all about money and productivity.
Non credo ci sia altro modo, quindi ci provo.
And I say him, this is the only way, there's no other alternative, so I'm doing this. I'm trying, at least.
Meglio provarci che non provarci.
E dopo non avrai un po' di
And I say, yeah, better to try than not to try.
rabbia quando arriva il momento che non riesci a cambiare.
And here he says, will you not be angry when the time comes that you realize you have not made a change and this was all useless? And I think, yeah, my voice cracked.
Che la tua intenzione è buona e invece nessuno la caga, che sembra
He says that will you not be angry when because your intentions are good, but the world is going crazy and no one listens to
che il
you.
mondo è impazzito.
E se io non riesco personalmente a vivere
Yeah, and here I would have cried, honestly, because, and I say personally, I can't live in a world like this, but because the world is like this right now, I am doing this, and my voice cracked because, and I honestly, I mean, I don't think I would have I wouldn't say I would have cried because he moved on immediately. Um, but yeah, this is basically that's why I said this is super representative of the situation, because I go through this choice every day. I have been going through this choice every day for the last 3 years since I got involved in the process of questioning, really questioning and investigating um, many topics which are considered conspiracy-ish in nature, and if not that, things that are more obvious, but topics that usually people don't get involved in because it's really painful to be aware of the real state of the world. So that was really emotional to me because I decide every day not to give up, and every day I try and fight instead. And also, this is representative because actually we should go a bit forward to talk about the next bit. Yeah.
Se non ci
So,
provo.
Cosa ti dico? Posso darti un consiglio?
Sì, sì,
Prendiamo
certo.
cioè, ti rispetto dal punto di vista
mhm.
di...
Tells me he respects me, but he feels like telling me something.
Sì, no.
Esprimiti.
Vai, ti sto ascoltando.
Pensa per la tua vita e che la tua vita continua. Inizia
And he tells me, think about you, think about your life, because your life goes on. And this is the next bit. If I'm doing this alone, it doesn't make sense because, and by the way, it's not like I'm giving my life up for this. This is 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day I'm spending to do this. The rest of the day I'm here working either on photography or personal training. Um, and of course, he couldn't have known that, even though I told him. I tell him I'm only here half an hour a day. It's not like I only do this. And I guess that's a common misconception among society. The fact that if you're an activist, you're sort of crazy, you don't have a work, and you're automatically set apart from society. I guess at least that's what that's the feeling I have. Um, because usually activism goes a bit against society, and so anything that goes against society is antisocial. And if you're antisocial, people don't want to be around you because you are scary, you are out of the mean of society. What do I want to say?
Ti sto ascoltando.
pensa per la tua vita.
Oh yeah. I guess you have to be crazy like me to do this, because right now I'm doing this without any certainty that I will get it's a degree of care back, meaning that he told me to think about my life, and apart from the fact that I'm already doing it, um okay, I'll try and start the thought again. I guess a barrier for many people that would like to get involved in this is that they are afraid not to get anything in return. Because if you want to take the first step, like maybe I did, but like many other people did, because I don't want. I'm not protagonist in this. If you take the first step, you are accepting that you are giving a part of yourself with no guarantee of any return. And so many people say, why should I do it? Because it's basically certain that I won't get anything in return. And so I'm just better off thinking about myself. And so I guess the vast majority of people think like that. Or I guess, or at least that's the conclusion they get to. Because yeah, unless we all do it together and we all take care of each other, we are just stuck taking care of our own life, of our own person. So again, unless we all do it together, no one has a return from this. And the more people, the more the return, um, because it is exponential. And if we all really cared about each other, we would get out of this individualism, and you would feel like helping other people is not useless, because right now in society, if you decide to help someone, you're doing it at your own risk, and you're basically doing it alone. But if there were more people helping each other, that wouldn't be the case. It would be much easier to do it, and you will feel much more secure.
E che la tua vita continua. Inizia da te stesso.
Lo so, però
Yeah, and here he says, begin from yourself because your life goes on. And here I know that I tell him I know, but I really didn't agree with the affirmation, because I have already begun from myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking in a composed way and reasoning about this. Because if I didn't start from myself, I would be probably still depressed and so discouraged about the state of the world not to do anything about it. So I have already started from myself. I've actually, I think, and I am, I struggle to say it, but I guess I'm so advanced in taking care of myself that I can manage to do this, because if I wasn't be able to take care of myself, I wouldn't be able to take care of others. And so I'm sorry for that guy, but this is completely wrong, because that's not the case.
Così se fai da esempio, così forse tutti iniziano a guardare un esempio giusto e cambiarsi.
And here he says you have to start from yourself, because if you show other people a good example, then they can follow it, which doesn't make any sense. In fact, I say,
ma l'esempio giusto qual è? Non ho capito, scusa.
what is
Non
the
ho
good?
capito.
What is the right example? Because to me, this is the right example. Well, I guess. Oh yeah, he says it.
Con la tua vita e i tuoi azioni.
Ma
Agenda.
What did he say?
capito.
Con la tua vita e i tuoi azioni.
Like I think he said like show your life and your actions.
Ma
Agendo
possiamo...
nel male,
Mhm.
bisogna lo stesso saper muoversi.
Yeah, and here's the point. He says in evil, in bad times, you have to be able to move forward. I am doing it. I haven't stopped my life. I haven't stopped. I haven't paused anything. This is just an addition to my life. It's a really important one. And of course, he cannot know from outside. But it is kind of rude to judge like this, because you're giving for granted that I am I'm just doing this, and I'm not doing anything else. While, for example, I know in personal training, I am already helping people feel better, move better, and be in better shape. Um, I don't know why. I mean, I guess there's a lot of stigma around someone sitting on a cardboard, because this, to most people, communicates poverty, communicates um, doesn't communicate confidence, I guess, um, instability, and maybe that's for me, because I could get maybe actually I was thinking already of not using a cardboard, but something more um, I don't know, like a sheet of plastic, or well, not plastic, some other material that doesn't look like I picked it up from the garbage. And but that is sad, because people should be able to go beyond the fact that this is a piece of cardboard and it's not from a garbage, but it was a box I had in my studio. People should be reading this and understand the message. And this guy didn't even read it. He just questioned me without reading. But I am quite certain that these communicates something wrong, even though the message to me is the most purest, the purest message without the most. And I say that because just by sitting on the ground, you lose a lot in the eyes of society. I actually wanted to do a video about this. For example, the deep squat. If you're deep squatting somewhere around the city, your people already look at you in a different way. If you're sitting on a cardboard, if you're sitting in general on the ground, people look at you differently. Because there's this somehow, I mean, not somehow, because it makes sense in a society based on money, but somehow poverty is a bad thing. Like if you are a poor person, you're almost intrinsically bad in some way. And of course, that's not what I think. That's what society perceives. Because tell me, if when you see like a homeless person, if you feel like going close to them. I usually I'm really friendly with all people, because why not? And I'm friendly with poor. I mean, it's so bad to say poor people. Um, but there's many times there's people that are in really difficult situation, and you can clearly see it. And so I try to help. And when I try to help, people around me look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you doing? Are you going close to them? Are you hugging them? Are you talking to them? And in this case, I am the homeless person. And again, it sounds so disrespectful to say that. Um, but I am in that situation, and I can feel the distance that creates with other people. And that is so bad, because we have learned through the concept of money that having no money is bad, and that if you don't have money, it's almost your fault, because you have, I mean, you success is on you, right? It's not probabilistic. It's not. there's a lot around success that is not considered, and this would be a whole video on its own, but there's already great videos online that really look at success from a different perspective because a lot is involved in success. For example, if you were born in a Western country, you are already more likely to succeed than someone that was born in Africa, for example, because you just have more probabilities. You are just it's just easier to you. Like you start from where another person has to work up to, and not everyone realizes it. So that's why I don't like. I'm not even interested in success because it doesn't mean anything. It's it's a crazy concept and it's super um, it is uphold too much. I really don't like I really don't care about success. I really don't care about money. I just want to make enough money to survive. I don't want anything crazy. And and yeah, this is all to say that maybe this is the wrong approach. Maybe I should get a proper manifest to write stuff on. Uh, I guess even the blanket creates distance because, again, who do you see with blankets in the street? People with less money. And if I have to look at myself, like if I had to bang my head on the desk and look at the screen right now, I would probably think that's a homeless person just because of the situation. So often in society, people can manage to go beyond the context and see like true meaning. And that is crazy and sad to me because it's so, I mean, it's the opposite of my vision of the world and how I reason.
Ma io sono qua mezz'ora al giorno, il resto della
Ma non stai
giornata.
dicendo che sto facendo? Guarda, ieri o l'altro ieri sul club.
Yeah, and I tell him I'm here half an hour a day, so I'm implying that this is part of my day, this is not everything that I do, and that I am going through life despite this really bad situation of the world.
Ho detto, ma cos'è che sto facendo ragazzi? Ero
Mhm.
curioso, poi ho detto telecamera, forse sto facendo canale, qualcosa così.
Mhm.
Niente.
Nel senso che per me vale la pena spendere mezz'ora al giorno qua per
Non
il
stare
pianeta.
qua seduto.
I- Intanto io comunque, nel senso, va avanti la mia
Non
vita.
è che ti dico non starti a sedere, se stai seduto così nell'altra stagione, quando non ti farai
Mhm.
male te, se per caso ti prende, che non te lo auguro, un
Sì.
polmonite o qualcosa, dopo smene la...
Yeah, and here we repeat some of the stuff that we already said, and in the end, I guess he was really concerned for me because he's insisting that I shouldn't be sitting on the ground in January, and he tells me to do it like in a warmer season, and and of course I'm not gonna wait for a warmer season. I mean, I have decided to do it maybe at a bad time because it is January and today was super cold, maybe the coldest day since I've started this. But I wasn't cold apart from my hands. Um, I'm not getting ill from this, and yes, it would be stupid to get ill in that sense. That's why I have a blanket, which is enough, honestly, to keep me warm. And I do appreciate that this guy was telling me that like that he was, I guess, actually concerned from me but because of the context, in his mind, I think he was thinking that I didn't really know what I was doing, while I'm perfectly conscious about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And sometimes I would like people to read in your mind because then you would know all the process that got me to this, and you would understand so much. But of course, it is not like that. And and I can't be writing on this cardboard, hey, I am a normal person. I got to work. I got a family. I got a dog I take care of. This is not all I'm doing. I'm not poor, even though it's so bad that I have to state it. Don't be afraid of me. I'm a normal person. Uh, I would just like people to read my message and think about it.
Mhm.
È il tuo buon agire.
No, no, capisco cosa intendi, grazie per la preoccupazione, però per ora sono caldo, non mi sto ammalando.
A posto.
Grazie.
Buona continuazione.
Ciao ciao, buona serata.
Yeah, and I tell him, thank you for your concern. Although I'm warm, um, I'm not getting sick, and he wishes me a good continuation of this thing, and I do, and and I tell him have a good evening as well. And yeah, that was the last exchange, and then there was nothing for another 15 minutes. Although when he got back to the table, because he's like this is like a big church in my city, like the main one. This is a this is the main square, and in front of this church is a bar, and he was there taking a like an aperitivo with his friends. An aperitivo, I actually don't know what the English translation is. I had to look it up, but it is what when you go drink before dinner, basically. Aperitif. Okay, well, it's up. Well, I guess you you understood. And when he got back to the table, I think he was with a friend. I don't really know because while I had my eyes open, I was looking at him, and then I mean, I closed them just after he left. So I don't know how many people he was with, but I could hear what they were saying quite clearly. I was not that close. I was like 20 meters away. And when he got back, he was saying like, oh, he thinks that he's gonna solve it all. And and that's hurtful because y- okay, I don't know if that was his friend or if that was him, and that's hurtful anyways. But again, I'm not gonna solve this all by myself. This is if he had read the thing, I say in the manifest that we have to do it all together, otherwise it doesn't make sense, otherwise there's no hope. So I really don't want to be the protagonist, of this. I actually hate to be the protagonist because I don't like to be at the center of attention. And actually, if the situation I see around the world wasn't so critical, I would never be doing this. And I guess it's both positive and negative because trying to get a career on the internet is something I would have liked to try out, and I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for this. And it's negative because I'm only doing this because of that reason, because and I don't think I would have done it otherwise, maybe in the future, but I didn't really feel ready to do this. And so it's negative because it means that the situation is really critical. And to me, it surely is. To me, actually, what's happening in the world right now is a pure nightmare. And sometimes I really get anxious and panicky about all of this because I feel trapped. I feel hostage of crazy people with crazy bombs, crazy rich people with crazy plans. But I can do, I mean, either, again, I go through the choice every day. Every day I think maybe I should just think about myself, go live somewhere, isolate where I don't risk society, the risks of society. And or I do this because this is my only way to be tranquil right now. Of course, I don't think this is enough unless other people join me in some way. But this is what actually what 5 years of depression taught me. You have to get something practical. At least I have to do something practical because if I don't do something practical and the old discourse remains in my head, it's not sustainable. It hurts too much, and I have to get it out. Actually, doing all of this, I could say this is not even my choice because I was feeling so bad. It was so painful not to do anything about it that it was basically. I hope you understand what I mean by that, but it's not my choice. I There's no other alternative for me. If I don't do this, I hurt incredibly, and so I do it, and it's super hard, super hard. I don't even know how I'm managing not to care about what people think because it has always been a huge thing of mine. And again, this is both positive and negative to me in the most paradoxical and cruel way, in a sense. But yeah, this is crazy, and I mean, is there someone watching? Well, this is ended. Two people. Is the box, the chat box there? Okay, it is. Um, could you write in the chat so I know you exist and you're not bots, please? So yeah, I'm really happy I've done this live because I needed to talk about this, and I did want to make a video explaining what I'm doing with the meditative protests already yesterday, and I didn't. And I kind of didn't want to postpone it anymore today, so I did it. But I'm really, really tired. And right now that I've just done this, I'm getting discouraged because everything I do never, I mean, anything I can do will never be enough in like in front of the tragedies around the world. But I have to do it anyway because it's the only way I can not go crazy for real. Even though to most people I've already gone crazy, and that is crazy. Um, it's actually so surreal, this situation to me, and it's hard to stay objective and again not to panic, um, because in these last 3 years I've gone into some dark topics, and these are topics really, I wouldn't say I would have better kept off those topics because knowing, being conscious is a blessing, but it's also a curse. And so yeah, sometimes it's more a curse than it is a blessing. But at the end of the day, I always consider it a blessing. But there have been periods where I would have liked just to delete, just like to have the uh, yeah, to just delete my memories about some stuff that I've seen and watched because they are really terrible, and you really do live a more quiet life if you don't know about certain stuff. Um, I really have to be careful not to dissociate as well, like it just happened now, because well, dissociation is really bad for depression and anxiety because you're basically ruminating and um, living situations in your head that are not real, even though they might be real to some extent. But it doesn't make sense to leave them in your mind anyway, until you actually get to experience them. I mean, to be like I would say a proper human being, but I don't want to judge other people that are not like this, but to be a proper human being, so someone kind, someone that really reasons through the scientific method, like to be a sense, to make sense as a person, to truly make sense as a person, it's so hard. And oh wow, it's already 10. Yeah, I think I'll go get my dog and, get to bed. I'm happy I did this, but it's heavy. And it's also, and it's heavier if there's no one to share this burden with. So this is why I'm divulging, because on top of like divulging the actual information, I also need people to be around me and to do this with me, because it's unimaginable to for a single person to carry all of this. And I'm not the protagonist. There has been people active much longer than me, and have done, of course, much more because I've been doing this for 5 days. Even though I do advocate for these values, I mean, I've been advocating for this my whole life. I've always upheld kindness, respect for people, respect for the planet, and everything else. Um, but yeah, we have to do this together. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for anyone to do it on their own. Um, I mean, even if I went living somewhere far on my own, or even within a small community, I wouldn't be able to escape. First, I wouldn't be able not to think about humanity, and I wouldn't be able to escape what expects us in the future if we don't do anything about, again, climate change, about elites that are that want to drive the world in a really bad direction. Um, what expects us if we don't do anything? It's a true dystopian world. Um, and I mean a true dystopian, like Orwell kind of thing, like Mad Max kind of thing, when climate change will get to that point and pollution will get so bad that that having clean water will be will, will not be given for granted. And I mean, really, there's no alternative. I'm not even doing this by choice. I'm doing this because I can't live elsewhere right now. Elsewhere? Do you even say that? Yeah, you do. Kind of like that. So yeah, it has been an hour and 10 seconds. So I'm gonna end this and go to bed. Of course, I hope someone will watch this, and I will re-upload this on YouTube as well. Good night, no one, but good night.